Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Brothas-in-law. Those of you who are new to our channel, Mike and I are two former law enforcement police officers on different coasts. Mike is out on the West Coast, and I'm here on the East Coast of Virginia. I'm a former Virginia State police officer and a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer, still living here in the great state of Virginia. And Mr. Michael Bradley there is a retired police officer out of Pleasanton, California, where he served 26 years on his police department force. And also, Mike is a former Army veteran. I think, Mike, you did what, 6 years?
6 years.
6 years in the Army. So we'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules tonight and joining us to talk about policing in our communities. And we got a good show for you tonight, a great topic to talk about. Normally, we're talking about police-involved shootings. This one is about de-escalation, and it gives you just an insight to what or how fast a situation can escalate. And this one here actually started from just a traffic crash. Most of you would identify as a simple traffic stop or a simple car crash. In the eyes of Mike and myself, we don't see them as that because I've worked thousands of crashes over the years, and I can tell you, I approach a traffic crash just like if I was approaching a regular traffic stop on the side of the road. So it can be deadly and turn south at any given moment in time. What you say, Mike?
Yeah, I agree, because you don't know who you're running up on. You know, you can go up on a traffic collision and the driver could be any kind of mental state. You don't know what kind of mental state the drivers are in. Not only do you have to worry about, is anyone injured? Is everybody in the car, out of the car, whatever, what have you? You also got to worry about, is the people I'm getting ready to deal with here, are they mentally sound, for lack of better words? They could be going through some crisis within themselves that really have nothing to do with the crash. Maybe the crash was just something that happened, but they were already in a mental health crisis. And that's what you're going to see here on this video, how things went south real fast, to where you about to see how de-escalation works and how fast de-escalation can happen, if it happens at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a lot. This is a good video. And I want our viewers, I want them to start looking at this video and start thinking step by step what they would do if they were in this situation, taking this traffic report. Now this is pretty wild. You know, you don't expect this to happen, particularly in this spot where there's something that one of the drivers does that is kind of surprising and doesn't make a lot of sense why they would do this, but you about to see it.
Yeah. So before we jump into it, if you're new, go ahead and hit that like button for us. Those of you are normal viewers, please hit that share button and hit that notification button up there too, or down there. I think it is the bottom right of your screen, so you stay up to date on our latest videos that we come out with every week, and join this conversation. So that's a great question to ask our viewers, Mike. What would they do if they were the officers in that situation? And you'll see how fast an officer has to make some type of a decision. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get it started here.
Now, this is a traffic collision, folks. Officer roll up on a traffic collision, get ready to investigate it, and get everybody's information and all that. That's what they're in the middle of right here. Okay.
Right. And this isn't recent. This actually took place in Columbus, Ohio, I think a couple of years ago, actually. But you don't hear stories like this in the media. But here we go.
This way, but I didn't know he was leaving the scene because he was right, where you can see where the debris is.
Okay, so you thought he was turning around coming back this way?
Yeah.
So you think he was headed that way when you hit him?
Nobody wants to come outside. I've been sleeping. And look, I've been sleeping. People been driving around, parking in front of my house, like driving. I can't even get no sleep.
This is the other driver.
Yeah, that's the other drive. Before we go, I just want to let you know there's definitely a lot of profanity in this, so just be aware of that. So if you have little ones in the room or next to you, just might want to have them leave the room for just about 2 minutes.
And also, real quick, just so if you guys are watching this video real close, you hear what he's saying. Keep in mind, remember, this is a traffic collision investigation. So what he is talking about at this point doesn't sound to have anything to do with the reason why the officer is there and what's taking place. So right out the back, that's a red flag that something ain't quite right with this individual's conversation.
All right, here we go, y'all.
I've been sleeping. Look, I've been sleeping. People been driving around, parking in front of my house, like driving. I can't even get no sleep. And they going outside, running around. I'm on Linwood. They coming around, driving around, circling around. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay.
And then nobody's outside. Nobody's scared to come outside.
Relax.
What the fuck, man?
I don't know what's going on.
No, man, fuck that. Fuck that.
What? I don't. You're getting.
No, fuck that.
This is
You
an
fucked
accident.
up my fucking car, man. The fuck?
Calm down a little bit.
No, I'm not
okay?
calming down.
Step back.
No, I'm not stepping back.
Step
I'm
back.
not stepping back. I'm
Step
not
back.
stepping back. This is my fucking car.
It's an accident.
No, it's my fucking car. You act
It's
like you're
an
not fucking don't
accident.
care.
Sir,
I'm trying to gather information so I can take the report for you, sir. You need to calm down a little bit.
I don't know which. I was.
91, can you step it up a minute?
Which way were you going? He was going southbound. I don't know. He was going that way.
Where?
Were you going that
Now,
way?
how many of you viewers would call for cover unit?
Yeah, 41. Get on the ground! On the ground now! Flip over on your back. 10-3.
I ain't doing shit, bitch. Yo,
Flip over on your back now!
I want to do. Fuck.
Sir,
On your back now!
Fucked up.
On your back.
Kill me then.
No!
Kill
On
me,
your
bitch.
back.
Kill me, bitch.
No.
Kill me. Kill me. The fuck?
I need a 10-3.
Fucking car. I don't give
Now!
a fuck. Kill me. Kill
On
me.
the ground!
Fucking kill me. The fuck?
Now!
Give me your fucking gun, bitch.
On the ground now!
You ain't give me a fucking
On the ground now!
I'm not on shit.
On the ground now!
Gun or fucking kill me. Fuck all that.
On the
Give me the
ground!
fucking gun or kill me.
On the
Give
ground!
me the fucking gun or kill
On the
me.
ground now!
Gun, no.
Now!
Kill me. I'm ready to die.
I don't want to
Kill
kill
me.
you!
Kill
Get
me.
on the ground! Get on the ground! No! Get on the ground! Now! Get on the
Kill
ground!
me.
No!
Kill me then.
No!
Kill me.
Get on the ground!
Fuck all this
Get
shit.
on the ground!
Blow my fucking hand off.
Now!
Get on the ground. No,
Get on the ground!
No, hell no. Ow. Turn over. Turn over. Turn over. Turn over. Come on, man. Turn over. Hands on your back. Put your hands on your back.
All right, I'll get the cuffs.
Get your other one up back here. Yeah. Why did I just fucking kill me?
No, she was a witness. He tried to steal her purse.
Are you serious?
No, he was arguing with me here, trying to steal her purse and take off that way, and he fell, and that's when I pulled a gun on him.
yeah, he's.
Good, Sloan.
I saw the accident.
I don't even know if this is a 45 because of the way he was acting.
Was he in the car?
Yes.
Yeah, he had an accident. Another car. I don't know what happened to it.
All right. So that's pretty much it, Mike. So my man came up and just, I ain't even having it, boop, and tased him. Which is what I, if we're gonna use this as a talking point, talking video, what went right, what went wrong in this, in this officer's, I won't say defense, but if I had to say anything, she gave too many warnings. She should have just went on here and transitioned to the taser and put him down and been done with it. But she at least, kept trying to give him orders. You're telling him to get on his back when he's already on his back. But I knew when she was really. But see, that's what happens when that adrenaline gets going, gets pumping. You fumble over your words and things like that because she's probably scared out of her mind because that dude is way taller than she is, and way bigger. I mean, and he just flipped the script.
If he would have charged her, if he would have charged her and ran at her, she would have been within all her rights to shoot that dude.
Oh,
he was threatening her. He was threatening to hurt her. He was trying to say he wanted her to shoot him. You can, at that point, that was a situation where you cannot let that guy get up on you. You know what I'm saying? So if she would have decided to use deadly force, if he charged at her, that would have been just completely justified. You know, you could justify easily that I was in fear of my life. If he would wrestle her, get that gun from her, ain't no telling what that guy would have done.
Yeah, there's no telling what he would have done. I mean, you see how this was just like media likes to say, routine crash. You know, to go from a crash to a robbery. Right then and there, you try to steal the lady's purse right in front of the police officer. Like, dude, where are you going? Like, I would have never. I mean, if he got away and ran, I wouldn't have went after him. Dude, I have your car right here. And so for me to run after you would be, you're not going to outrun the radio. So I gave the description to my backup that's already en route to me, which she did really good on that, asking her backup to step it up because she got the feeling that this was going to probably go south, and she was right. But this is how it happens out here, folks. I mean, that's why officers have to go
0 to 100 real quick,
or you're already a little bit elevated. You know, especially, and I don't know, maybe he might have did this because who knows? I think he probably had some mental health issues, or he was just, I don't know what would have caused him to spaz out like that. But that's everyday life as a police officer.
Yeah.
Right. I think she handled herself well.
I think so. I think she handled herself well. I mean, and this goes to show you, like you said, Corey, this is something, this is an example of a rush of adrenaline, how it goes from 0 to 100 real quick in any given situation that police officers have to deal with. You see what I'm saying? This guy was strange right out the gate when I was pointing out that he was talking about something about cars driving in front of his house in circles and stuff like that, like some paranoia going on maybe. He might have had some schizophrenia or something like that going on. He might have had some mental health problems that was going on that clearly he wasn't making a lot of sense considering this was a simple traffic investigation. Look, man, I'm just here to investigate traffic collision. What happened? You were driving this car, you know, trying to get all the basic information. But you could see at that situation where he just loses it. Now you a lone officer by yourself. You got one calm person and you got the other person, the driver of the white car, really going off. So hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You can sense when this might go south, which she did. She did correctly called for cover. You don't know what this guy is going to do.
Yeah. But you know, Mike, and I get it too. I've worked a lot of crashes where, you know, people are really upset. They want things to happen like right now. Why aren't you going out after? Well, first of all, it's just me right here. And I can't go anywhere, go after anybody till I have the right information. This is how this is going to work, right? I need your pertinent information. So like she said, so I can put it in the report. If I don't have that information, then it doesn't benefit you, the victim, or it's not going to benefit the person who's at fault. So I had to get this information right. So I need everybody's information, everybody's statement of what happened, so I can go after the right individual and charge him for whatever reason that may have happened. That, you know, it seems like this might have been a hit and run. Their vehicles got hit, and then the vehicle at fault drove off. But you know, when they get hot like that, you know, you have to start de-escalating. Look, this ain't the time and the place for this. We ain't gonna do this right here.
Yeah, that's de-escalation, folks. That's that little bit that you just said right there, Corey, is a part of de-escalation. That's some piece of de-escalation. But let me ask our viewers, you see how quickly this happened and his demeanor, especially when he started kind of walking towards her, not charging her yet, but kind of walking towards her with his fist balled up, like, you know, like confrontational. At where is the time that you're going to have on your side to try to de-escalate? And the reason why I bring this up is because it shows you how fast that de-escalation doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? If he, like I say, if he would have taken a few more aggressive steps toward her, there's no de-escalation left at that point. Right. He created a circumstance where now I got you standing in front of me already at 100, looking like you're very confrontational, very well could hurt me. And I can't let you do that. I can't let you get close to me. I can't let you get an opportunity to run up on me like that. You see what I'm saying? And folks, for our viewers, this goes to show you, what decisions would you make in that situation? When you talk about de-escalation, because we hear a lot about, well, why didn't the officers de-escalate? More de-escalation techniques could have been used. You know, you hear that a lot.
Right. And your number one de-escalation is your presence, right? You figured your presence would trigger in the right, reasonable mindset of a person would be like, okay, hey, this is law enforcement, respect. I'm not going to act a fool. Right. Then you move to your verbal commands. Right. And she did that. Right. Well, he had totally disrespect for the fact that she was law enforcement. He had total disrespect for that. Then she went into the verbal. Hey, calm down. You need to calm down so I can get the information, so I can do the report. Right. She's giving verbal. Calm down. Right. He wasn't responding to that. So what's next? Right now you go to the tools on your belt. Right. You got your service weapon. You have your ass, which is your modern day baton. And you have your OC spray. And you have your taser. So she's got 4 options now she can go to. Which one is right? Which one is wrong? Well, in the event of trying to de-escalate, there's no right or wrong. You grab what you feel as the officer is going to be best useful for you to get to resolve the situation. She, in turn, as a female, I don't blame her for grabbing her service weapon. Why? 1, because she's a female. 2, he was much bigger than her. Right? If he was much bigger than me as a male, I'm going straight to my service weapon. Dude, I'm not going to fight you.
No, I'm not fighting.
Fight you.
I'm not fighting.
I'm not going to fight you.
This ain't no such thing as a fair fight.
Right. There's no such thing. So, but you know, in that case, if it were me, I would probably went taser for him. But I'm not. There's nothing wrong that she went with her service weapon. There's nothing wrong with that. Could she had used her OC spray or pepper spray? She could have, but that means he's got to get a lot closer to her for her to use it, and he can still. It may not affect him, right? So this is what an officer has to process through their minds before they actually, use something, right?
Right.
But as citizens, we don't see that or can process that thought process, because all we see is the officer reacted and now this individual is down.
Yeah, right? let me ask our viewers. If he would have charged her and he was shot and she would have shot him, you know what I'm saying? And you would have people saying, oh, she didn't de-escalate it enough. You know what I'm saying? They don't see the sense of urgency that he created that cut that de-escalation down if he would have charged her. But would it have mattered if he had a mental health problem, if she would have shot him in that situation for our viewers? No, that wouldn't have mattered. You still got a guy, mental health issues or not, got a guy in front of you who is making threats, confrontational, ready to either hurt you if you don't hurt him, or vice versa. you still have that issue that the officer has to confront in front of them. We can't stop and pause and say, well, it's okay. He's got a mental health problem, so I'm not going to shoot him if I need to. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to just let him charge me and see what happens and take my chances. You can't do that as an officer.
No, you can't do that.
So the fact that he has a mental health issue wouldn't matter. It wouldn't factor in. Yeah, it'll factor in after the fact. Then when we sit there and wonder, well, why did this guy behave this way? Well, yeah, that would factors in because he had mental health issues. There was something going on with him that didn't make sense to me right out the gate. You see what I'm saying? Right, Brenda. You got to protect yourself, mental health issues or not. It doesn't matter if you got a mental health issue in certain situations. If you force my hand, then you force my hand. I got to protect myself or protect someone else who might be in that type of position. This all the same.
And remind you, this all stemmed from a vehicle crash, right? This, you know, and again, the officer was called to this scene, right? And this is, so it's not like the officer, she was out looking for trouble, right? This guy, for whatever reason, this crash triggered him to go on have some type of mental health issue, and you know, she didn't overreact. You can tell her sense of urgency did go up, you know, but I think she handled it well. I can't argue anything. In all essence, Mike, it was a good incident, right? It was a good incident. Nobody got hurt, right? Now, you're right. To your point, had she shot him, though, what you would have heard on the media was a white female officer shoots an unarmed black man. You would not have heard the whole story. Hey, this was a 2-car crash. Police were called to the scene, and this individual, you know, had a mental health issue, and lost his rocker and went out there and tried to attack the police officer. You would never heard that whole story until, you know, weeks down the road once everybody got spun all up, right? This is why it's important that we always say, let's just wait until more video footage come out, more evidence has come out. Let's not overreact at the first video we see. And she did a great job by trying to de-escalate this situation by going through the steps of use of force.
Yeah,
and it goes quick. I mean, you know, you're already at level 1 with your presence. Boom, they don't react to that. You go to your verbal commands, and then it's game time.
Right.
They also has to make a decision, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. They need to make a decision, because it's either they get hurt or killed, or the subject is going to get hurt or killed.
Right. And officers can't take a chance on getting hurt or killed. They have to make a decision to stop that possibility from happening. You see what I'm saying? Period.
Right.
So, and it's a good example. It shows you how fast that process has to work in an officer's mind. And once he gets going, now the cover guy, he came, he handled business. She already had her firearm. He knew that clearly. He came with the taser, handled business right out the gate. Guy confrontational. He probably knew she was confrontational when she was asking for cover. You know what I'm saying? So when he got on the scene, he already had at least a half an idea of what was going on. You see what I'm saying? He took care of business with that taser.
Hey, yeah, he did. I like how he just rolled up there and was like, nah, we ain't having this.
We ain't doing this. We ain't doing that. And we ain't gonna let you get it no further out of control than what you are right now.
And that's textbook, in my opinion, how it should have went down. You know, and again, officers are gonna do things differently, right? We're looking at procedure. Are they within their department's policy with how they're handling this situation? Were there any civil rights violated in this? So, you know, As long as you got those box checked, how you handle it is going to be different. As you watched our show over the last year, you've heard Mike and I say, we would do things different, but Mike and I both see each other as reasonable officers. Yeah, I might go full police on you, but I'm always going to make sure my I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because one thing I ain't going to do is get called up to nobody's carpet trying to have to explain myself.
Right.
So I'm gonna make sure I'm doing everything according to the letter of the law, and make sure we're doing things right. But we'll do it differently. So my question to our viewers is, what does de-escalation mean to you? When you hear that word being thrown around out there, especially in the media, they always say, like Mike said earlier, police should have used, more de-escalation. So my question is, what does de-escalation mean to you when you hear that? Now that you see what it takes to de-escalate and how the levels of force are used, again, starting with the officer's presence and being the vehicle and the uniform and the badge, which, signifies, authority, right? And then you get into your verbal commands. Hey, stop what you're doing. Let me see your hands. Stand there. Verbal commands, right? And then you go to your work. You go to your tools around your waist, right? Once you pull that, you're still trying to de-escalate, even though you have that service weapon out, that taser out, that OC spray out, the asp out. You're still giving verbal command. Stop. 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 All right, you're still trying to de-escalate, right? But you're on the ready in case they want to take it to the next level. So what does de-escalation mean to you all now? And what more needs to be done when we say, hey, officers need to be trained on de-escalation? Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, also, we might, when we explain it to you this way, some people might think of it as more of a systematic type approach. But keep in mind, this process is very fluid, because the person we're dealing with could cause us to escalate quicker than that. There could, for example, like I said, if he actually decided to charge her, well, there's no time to use to de-escalate. There's no time to do anything but take care of what is in front of you at that moment, at that second. You know what I'm saying? And Tone says, well, so after you tase someone and stop, can you continue to tase again with the same prongs in them, or is that it? Well, technically, yeah, the prongs would still be in there, Tone, unless they pulled them out and removed them. Then an officer would have to reload a second cartridge in his taser to tase him again. But by that time, usually the taser ain't gonna work. If you got to reload and shoot him again, you're gonna probably run into the same problem, and you have to think of another option. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you can tase them again with the same prongs as long as they don't remove them out. However, when you do tasers, you only are supposed to do it for 5 seconds. Tase them for 5 seconds, and hold that trigger for 5 seconds. You ain't supposed to just hold that taser down and hold that trigger down as long as you feel like it, and just let them sit there and lock up forever. No, right. The purpose of the taser is to incapacitate you so that I can actually get down there and handcuff you. Okay, so that it's more than just compliance. It's compliance and physical control, because a taser locks your muscles up, causes you not to be able to move. Now, I can get down there and move you and safely handcuff you without you trying to fight me, as long as you are being tased. And you might see that a lot in some of these videos where officers are tasing people, and then they'll stop tasing them as if it's a paying compliance, and that's it. They make no effort to go down and handcuff the person while they're being tased. Now, see, when we did it, when you tasing somebody, you are also going down there and handcuffing them while they're being tased, because that's part of them locking their muscles up, so I can get you handcuffed without you trying to fight me back. You know what I'm saying? Now, it depends on your department and your policy as far as the taser, how you are trained. But technically, to answer your question, Tone, yeah, you can tase with the same prongs as long as they don't remove the prongs that's in there. That's all.
Right. Brenda says that I think people just need to comply. I don't get it. I'm not the one to ask because I respect law. You're right, Brenda. And I just wish that everybody had that thought process like you. But, in reality, it doesn't work that way. That's why every thing that we do, every call for service that officers go on, and particularly me, and I know Mike would think the same way. I always thought about the what ifs. What if this goes wrong? Because we try to give the individuals the benefit of doubt that they're going to comply. Right. I like to give them the benefit about, not everyone is going to be disgruntled with me. But then, I can't be so open and thinking as though, it's cool, let my guard down. Because as soon as you let your guard down, that's when they flip the script on you. And that's when you find yourself fighting for your life on the side of the road, or, in some type of a shootout with the subject. So, it would be ideally, we would love it. That's why we preach the CALM acronym: comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. You do these things, you shouldn't have a problem. I don't know if this guy, obviously, clearly there was something wrong with him mentally, but, you're not going to resolve your issue by being out of control like this. You're not going to get the information you need so you can report this to your insurance company. It's not necessary for people to carry on like this, but they do. And this is why policing is such a hard line of work. And I believe, and I've said until I can't speak no more, that, it really takes a special person to don that uniform. To me, I equate to as being called to be a minister. It's got to be in you, it's got to be your destiny in life, somewhere in you. That gene, that police gene, is in you, and those are for the good ones. Like, and I ain't gonna talk, to our own horns, but yes, like Mike and I, there are a whole bunch of officers out there like that really deserve and should be law enforcement officers. And yes, there are bad ones, and you keep watching our show, you hear Mike and I call those guys out and girls out. But it doesn't have to be that way. But it is, and law enforcement officers have to be always on the ready for something like this to happen. Yeah. And that's the whole reason why it drives me nuts when I hear the media say routine traffic stop or something, or routine crash. There's nothing routine about this line of work. The only thing that's routine is that we're able to go 1042, which is end your shift. That's the only thing that's routine.
We like to think that's routine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Like to think that's routine. But every stop is not a routine. Because
some people back, not to switch it up a little bit, but some people, Corey, especially in this situation, they would say, non-compliance, if someone is reasonable and doesn't have mental health problems and is thinking straight, well, then they are very aware of what compliance versus non-compliance is. But if you come across someone as officers, if you come across someone who has mental health issues, like in this situation, I'm assuming he has mental health issues. I don't know that factually because we don't know that, but I'm just saying based on his actions, they'll say, Corey, well, what do you do? How do you deal with those individuals who have mental health issues and they don't understand what compliance is? How do officers deal with those people? If someone is so irate or so physically aggressive because of their mental health issues. Well, how do officers handle them? You know, you can't just put your hands up. Maybe they don't think that way. You can't just calm them down. Maybe they don't think that way. You know what I'm saying? And that is a challenge, folks, because as I said earlier, if you have mental health issues, there are some things that we can't compromise. We can't look at and say, oh, you got a mental health issue, so we're gonna stop doing what we're doing, or we're not going to take aggressive action towards you since you have mental health issues. It doesn't work that way.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
You know, you gotta be able to take action and handle the problem in front of you, regardless of the mental health issues. Where mental health issues do come into play is just simple communication. You may communicate with someone differently with a mental health issue than not, but that's assuming you have the environment and the circumstances that afford you the time and opportunity to do that.
Right. Right. Now, I would imagine after this was over and they got him detained, I haven't read anything else about it, but I'm pretty confident to say, as a former LEO, that they probably did call rescue out there. I know if you deploy your taser, they have to be called out there anyways to remove the prongs out of the subject. So rescue was called out there, and rescue would then make that decision to, hey, he needs to go to be evaluated. And the officers can make that decision as well. But at this point, once rescue is out there, I'm turning him over to them. Well, obviously, he's going to be arrested for it. I mean, he did commit the crime and then try to assault a police officer. I'm still going to go with a ride with him in the paramedics, but and he'll be arrested. But I'm going to let them at that point determine his mental capacity and let them brief the doctors when they get in there. And then also, I would tell my side, hey, doc, this is what I seen him do. This is what I think. Right. So yeah, he now at that point is going to get some type of mental attention, if you will. Whether he gets the help, that's another story. But I'm pretty confident in saying that he did go for a ride in the ambulance to the hospital and probably was evaluated then. But again, something like this, you have to sit back, and after something like this happens, Mike, I know plenty of times I get back to my car or get back to the office, and I'm like, man, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? This was just a car crash, right? And you're like, man, because you're thinking, as the officer, your adrenaline is still up there, right? Because you're like, man, I could have shot this dude. What? And it's going through my mind. Would I have been right? Would I have been wrong? The things my family would have had to go through if I had shot that individual. I mean, I still to this day think about the individual that I came really close to shooting, just 3-4 miles from my house on my way home, getting off work. And that was in 2016. So that was 6 years ago. And I still think about that till this day, Mike.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, but
I know Tone is waiting on this, because I remember Tone gave us a comment about the whole switch it up here, folks. We're gonna switch up a little bit real quick. Out here in Alameda County Sheriff's Office, I know people probably seen it. It's been all over the news and stuff like that. So I'm not saying nothing that hasn't been released yet or anything. But they had an issue out here where they had an on-duty or a Alameda County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed a couple out here, execution style, basically. And it was arrested for it, obviously. And I guess it came to light that somewhere in his background investigation, the psych eval, he technically didn't pass the psych eval. He got a low grade on a psych eval that basically says he was not hireable or not suitable for law enforcement work. And then it sounds like they did an investigation and went back some years to check more officers to see if they had passed the psych evals. And turns out Alameda County Sheriff's Office had, I want to say it was 47 deputies that didn't pass their psych eval, technically had a score that said that they were not suitable. So Alameda County Sheriff's Office, that's a mess, as you can well imagine. I don't have a lot of detailed information, obviously, Tone, about that. We're not inside men. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm seeing on the news and stuff like that. But for our viewers, and Corey, you too, this sheriff is basically, you got one blaming the other. But do you think anybody should be officers if the psych eval comes up that they shouldn't be suitable to be police officers? I mean, seems like common sense to me. I wouldn't hire anybody who had a score on a psych eval that was not suitable for police work. If anything, that covers your own behind, to make sure you don't hire people that have a low score. Folks, for what I'm talking about is during the hiring process of being a police officer, one of those things in the hiring process is you go through a psychological evaluation. And I'm bringing this up because you do hear a lot on the media and stuff like that about what kind of people are these officers hiring, or these police departments hiring. You know what I'm saying? For some of those bad officers out there, that's always the question that you hear. Well, didn't someone check his background, or was he suitable for this position to be hired in the first place? So that's why I'm bringing this up. But it just seems common sense. That's part of the process, folks. When you get hired as a police officer, it's a psychological evaluation. And that psychological evaluation, you get a score. And basically the score, in a nutshell, lets the department that is trying to hire you, it lets them know whether you are basically suitable for police work or you're not. You know what I'm saying? And in this situation, this department, Alameda County Sheriff's Office, is a fairly large agency. And they had a lot of officers, apparently, that they realized were hired after receiving this poor score. But now they're trying to fix it by saying, you guys, we're going to take your badge and gun from you, basically, and then make you a non-sworn officer until you go back and get another psych eval. Okay. If you pass the psych eval at that point, basically we'll give you your gun and badge back. You know what I'm saying? What you think of that, Corey?
Well, I really can't respond to it because I'll be honest, I haven't really read into the article. But just based on what you're saying, I think a lot of people need to be fired to allow something like that to happen. And those who did fail that evaluation, there's no, now you need to be fired too.
Yeah, I mean,
now, I mean, I think, let me just back that up. Let me back that up a little bit. I think it should be on a case by case situation. If you haven't had any disciplinary actions taken against you, I would look at your complaints, and if you were an up and up law enforcement police officer, then I would say, okay, you need to get reevaluated again. If you've had disciplinary action problems and you've had a lot of complaints against you, and then you still fail that, then we find out you did actually fail it, you're gone. I mean, you're at that point, you're taking the department is taking a huge risk, allowing you to stay on. Hey, welcome, Jesus. Welcome everybody again. So I be honest, like I said, I haven't really dove into that article to really make a good analysis on it. I love to bring it back up for another topic, for another show to really get into it. But just what you're saying, and I do recall reading an article like the sheriff that did all this, that allowed this to happen, I think he retired. Well, I think he needs to cough up some of that retirement pension. because what you did was just jeopardize a whole department and a lot of people's lives.
Well, aside from that particular incident, the argument that is up for discussion here really is, if you are an officer who failed a psychological examination and you got hired anyway, okay, and then they turn around and say, well, guess what? We realized you didn't pass it, so we're going to send you back for another one. Should there be a difference in whether or not that person is now suitable? Let's say he passed it the second time. Should that be enough? Should that be legitimate enough to say, yeah, I think, okay, we realized we hired you without being suitable initially, but since you've been a cop here, or, you know, through your years of being here as a police officer, we feel that you are now okay because you passed it this time. I think the argument there is, should there be a difference in the time? You know what I'm saying? Can you argue that an officer has grown or matured or has now become suitable after having done the job versus when he first started that job? What do you think of that? Now, that's completely separate. They ain't got nothing to do with the incident particular. I'm just saying, in a situation like that, I think a lot of people
again, it would have to be on a case by case.
Yeah,
situation.
I agree.
You have to look at their whole service record, if you will, and see what type of officer they have been. Did they receive, you know, numerous awards and accolades for the great job that they've been doing? How active they are within the community, things of that nature. That, to me, that will weigh heavy on that. At that point, I was like, okay, you know. But then you would go under some type of advisement. Hey, we're going to keep you're going to be watched a lot closer.
Yeah, like a probation area.
Right. Well, I wouldn't so much call it probation, but I would say for us in service, we do it every 18 months. Okay, well, every time you come back to headquarters in Richmond for in service, you're required to do an evaluation with the medical staff up there. All right.
Yeah.
And then maybe that goes for so long. But if you're one of any individuals that had that evaluation and they still hired you and you've been a total dirtbag, you're gone.
Yeah, I can get with that. I can definitely understand that. And you know what, for me, I think it also is possible that maybe someone at 22, 23 years old doesn't pass the psych eval, does get hired, which this should have never happened, folks. By the way, I'm saying that right out the gate. We're thinking hypothetical. This should have never been happening. If you don't pass the psych eval the first time, I agree. You should never have been hired as a police officer first. Let's get that out the way. But in a situation where this has happened, okay, I think after doing the job, like you say, Corey, the case by case basis, check your track record, things like that. I do believe someone might be able to grow and mature enough through it, maybe after having doing police work, have changed some of their thoughts and beliefs and things like that after having done the job. Is it possible that they could now pass a psych eval and be okay with them in the community, be okay with them being police officers? Me personally, as a part of the community, I would be okay as long as at some point they would definitely have to still pass that psych. So definitely have to take it again. Definitely would have to pass it and continue working as a police officer. But that being done, would that be satisfactory for me to say, okay, I believe he is now suitable for this line of work because he has done it. He has grown. He did pass the second time. And there's a lot of experiences that you're going to have as a police officer over a certain period of time that could change you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that is possible, you know. Tone, I hope that kind of satisfies your comment that you made a little bit on one of our videos
It was last
about
week.
that topic. Was it Tone that said that? Wasn't it Tone?
Yeah. I think it was last week video after he had shot us an email. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
if you have a particular question or you have a video that you would like Mike and I to discuss, hit us up on Facebook at Brothas-in-law and over. Actually, whatever you look at the bottom of your screen, scrolling down, you see you can contact us on Instagram and that our email brothersinlaw21@gmail.com. So if you got something you like for us to check out and share our points of views on, just hit us up. What we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I know Jesus love you just joining us, but we thank you for coming in and joining us. Put the link in the description below. So Jesus love you. You can check that video out. Still leave us a comment if you got a question about it. Dump it in there. We'll get to it. But we'll be back next Thursday at 8:10. If that's good for y'all, let me know, because I try to set it off, try to give everybody time to finish dinner and whatnot, and put the little ones to bed if you got little ones, and jump on and check us out. And so I'm trying to make sure this is a good time for everyone. So if Mike and I need to adjust the time, we can do that for you all. But we thank you. So hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us. Remember to stay calm, comply, answer questions, listen,
and
and move on. All right. Thank you all. We love you. God bless you. And we will see y'all all next week. And thank you all for wishing me a happy birthday last week. I appreciate it. It was a good time. And we'll see y'all next week. Mike?
Nah, everything good. Guys, have a good weekend. Stay safe and peace out.
Peace.